Hi guys, welcome back for another year of my little home garden. As usual, I start the year off in May by tilling everything once. Now I till a second time to discourage the weeds. Next, I start planting the seeds. First potatoes, and corn and carrots. Then green beans. Then lettuce and cucumbers. And lastly, pumpkins and sunflowers. Next, I soak everything good with water and cover most of the plots with tarps to hold in the moisture. Alright, so this is going to be the first live update of the year. It's now third week of June. I planted the garden finally last week. I pulled off the tarps yesterday. I saw that stuff was growing, so putting the tarps on definitely helps keep the moisture in the soil so that the seeds can germinate. So I'm just going to take a little walk here and see what's growing. So on the first little plot here is where I put all the potatoes, and still nothing from those. But hopefully they come up. They were just old potatoes that I had in that storage fridge, and it's getting too late to buy seed potatoes, so got all my money on these. Here I believe I put carrots, and I'm not seeing much more than maybe a bunch of weeds. Maybe some down there. Still too early to tell. I'm keeping that moist. Things seem to be growing. Here I believe is the corn. I have a list somewhere, I just can't remember exactly. So this is looking like little corn sprouts. And here we've got some beans. They're doing really well. And we'll head over to the last plot. And here I believe I have lettuce. Got some tiny little guys coming up, but still too early to tell what's weeds and what's not. And I believe I have a lot of cucumber here. So I have little leaves popping up that look like cucumber leaves. So hopefully a lot of cucumber this year. I've struggled the last few years with cucumber after that first year with a ton, not a whole lot. Come down on the bottom here where I usually put my pumpkin. And this is the one plot that I don't rotate. I just grow the same stuff every year. So we've got nice, healthy looking pumpkin plants. I didn't do watermelon this year. Really focusing on just the stuff that I eat or I know grows consistently. And I put a nice little space here between pumpkins and sunflower seeds. Sunflowers, I'm not going in a row along the back. I'm just going to put one big bunch in the end. I've read and I've found that they kind of hurt any plants that are near them. So to help the pumpkins, I put that little buffer there, and we can see some of these sunflowers coming up. The old struggling rhubarb plant story hasn't changed here, so not doing well. I think this year in the fall I'm going to add a lot of nutrients and compost to the soil around here, try to give it some more for next year. Here, strawberries going. This got overwhelmed last year with weeds. This year I removed the little border I'd put so I can get the lawnmower here and trim where there's no strawberries. I'm also going through with the trimmer and trimming around them as much as I can. You can see there's a lot of grass on the ground that's like leaned over and it's sort of suffocating the plants. So this fall I'm going to get the rake in here. I'm going to clean this real good. I know you need to cover strawberry plants in the winter. Maybe I'll throw a tarp on or something, but I really need to cut down on the weeds here. The old grape plant, interestingly enough, has these little guys on it, which is a first. Are these little grapes? Is this the first year we get grapes? Could be. So this is very interesting. So this has been, I don't know, 4 or 5 years that I've had this plant here and don't usually see anything. And I was starting to give up hope that I wasn't going to see it in my lifetime, but we see something there that, well, looks like grapes to me, so it may be the year. The raspberry plant, I think this one's not doing particularly well. I am seeing some little flowery bud things there, so we could be getting a few raspberries, but the plants don't seem to be growing as well as I thought they would. This could be due to me just throwing them in the ground and not putting good soil. This is one of the first plants that I planted back here, and I still wasn't doing much to add compost or anything to the soil, so this is probably going to need some maintenance at the same time as the rhubarb. And now blueberries here. Got lots of little white blueberries growing along. Happy with this. These are the Costco plants that I added at the end of the year. The earlier plants, I'm seeing nothing back here. I don't know if they're a different variety and they just blossom at a different time. There are a couple little ones, I guess. A couple little ones here, but those Costco plants are doing well. So if those come on sale again, I might buy a few more. I've also got the scarecrow that I put up. He fell over on a windy day the other day, so I've got to get him put back up. I'd like to have the scarecrow here to try to discourage the birds from eating all of our blueberries. This seems to be the one that they go for the most. And we'll head over to the apple trees. So this is the newest apple tree. Still forget what it is. I think it's a Cortland. Don't think it's a Red Delicious, but it's also a possibility. So it doesn't look like this is doing anything this year. Oh, maybe. So I see one little apple there. And you can see these little balls here. I put these in this year to attract bugs and get them to stick to them. So yeah, we do have a few little apples on that tree. So that's good to know. The Honeycrisp blossomed last year. We had quite a few apples from that. Only managed to eat maybe 1 or 2, but doesn't look like it's blossoming this year. So this might be a every 2-year tree. More of the little balls in that one. Now the Macintosh. This one's my mom's tree. This one blossomed a lot this year. Lots of apples in it. So that's looking pretty good. You can see I've got the 2 balls in there. And this has the little scent packet to attract them. And it's been catching quite a few bugs. Lots of flies, which I think are the apple maggot fly. We're gonna see if that helps keep worms out of them. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for the apple codling moth or whatever it's called. But happy to see some apples here. Now a peach tree, which is interesting. You remember last year I came out here and the tree was not growing at all. I thought it was dead. And then come near the end of July-ish, I can't remember exactly, it just started shooting like crazy. Shoots everywhere, leaves everywhere, and it almost doubled in size. Like, look at the size of this thing now. It's so tall. It's almost as tall as this tree, which was the first one planted. And speaking with my friend at the orchard, he said that there was a few nights the previous winter where the temperature had risen up really high, very warm in the daytime, and then crashed down like really cold to the minus, almost like a 40-degree temperature change in one day. Well, he said that nearly killed my tree. So somehow the tree survived. Seems to be doing really well now. And the first year we had this, it was covered in peaches. I was so excited, thought I was gonna get a ton of peaches. Then one day, peaches just started dropping. Like every day, more and more peaches dropping. It just rejected them all. My friend said that it was because the tree was just overwhelmed, couldn't produce that much, and just let them all go. So now if we take a little peek here, we've got hundreds of little peaches. They're everywhere. All these little peaches. So I sent a message to my friend to see if maybe I should thin these out, pick a bunch of them to give the tree the best chance. And he hasn't responded yet, but I really think that's the route I should go to reduce the load on the tree and guarantee us, a couple of peaches. I think this is still too small a tree to produce that much. So that's it for this update. This is the first one. Like I said, third week of June. We're gonna see how this goes. I've changed a few things, and one of the main things is putting a little less effort in the beginning. I think I'm happy with where my soil is. Just going to be a little bit smarter, make it more of a hobby, and try to focus on the things that I enjoy growing. Okay, so I just picked all these peaches off the tree, so that should give the other ones that are remaining more of a chance to grow. Well, it's July 1st, Canada Day here in Canada, and I'm just coming out to take a look at the garden for the first time this week. So potatoes are finally coming out. So these are second generation potatoes for me. All the old little potatoes that were left over I planted, and plants are coming out real nice. I was a little worried for a while. I hadn't seen anything for about 2 weeks, but looks like they're coming out strong. So that's nice to see. This spot here is where carrots should be, and I've been having difficulty with the first batch of carrots. Every year I always have to replant them, and I think this year is going to be no exception. I'm not seeing a single plant in there. Corn, little guys here, not growing especially fast, but at least they're coming out. They look strong. Here I've got beans, and something was coming by and cutting the bean stalks down, but I've got a few there that seem to be growing all right, so we'll see how those go. We've got some romaine lettuce down here, a little cluster there. These guys, I just threw them in there, and as they grow I'm gonna thin them out a little bit. And then cucumber, got a couple little plants here. Nothing's growing especially fast, so I guess the soil's not fantastic, but a couple little plants there. So hopefully we get a decent haul this year. Hasn't been very good for cucumbers the last few years. Now, if you remember, I picked a bunch of peaches last week, and Now we've got some pretty nice looking fruit here. So quite a few in there. Really nice to see. I'm not sure if there's any bugs getting in these or not. So far they look pretty good. Head over to my Macintosh tree. And we've got several apples here. And of course our little red balls catching our bugs. I thought there was more apples than that. Oh, I see some more up there. A lot of the lower apples seem to be missing. Not sure if something came by and ate those or not. Our Honeycrisp tree has no fruit at all this year. And then the mystery tree. I remember seeing a few on here. So a couple little ones there. Alright, so let's go look at the berries. So here we have our blueberries and our scarecrow that fell over, which I have to put back up. So the blueberries are looking really good. Still quite white. Now raspberries were coming out. You can see here they're all gone now. These were covered in ants, and the ants were eating all the raspberries. So I've got a couple of berries here too. I don't know if those are dried out and dead or that's just what they're supposed to look like. And our potential grapes. Oh, look at that. Got some little flowery things coming out. So originally I saw these little green dots that look like mini grapes. If I get some focus on that. But I wasn't sure if that would turn into some sort of flower or something. And it seems to be. So that's interesting. First year with the grapes, so see how those turn out. Strawberries are just about done. Jen's been in here picking them every day. Not seeing any red left at all. We're just going to ignore the rhubarb. And down here, the pumpkin leaves are really getting big. So they seem to be doing quite well. Excited for that. I like having pumpkins in the fall. And the sunflowers, got a couple of them coming out. Not a crazy amount, considering how many seeds were in there, but quite a few. Alright, well that's it for first day of July. Little update. See how this month goes. Well, it's now been about 2 weeks since my last video. It's now mid-July. We can see the potatoes are doing very well. I actually saw my first potato bugs this morning, picked a few off. Oh, just spotted another one. I'm gonna pause the video and go get him. Alright, so they're sneaky little guys. Oh, there's another one. I swear they waited till I passed and came back. Alright, sneaky little guys. So no infestation yet. I did find 3 little nests of eggs and destroyed those. So hopefully I can stay on it, but if they're sneaky like that, it's going to be tough. So otherwise the potatoes are doing well. It looks like just about every potato that I planted is growing, like so many. So if I can keep from compacting that ground, walking in there, I expect a good yield of potatoes. I spent a bit of time here with the carrots. They're finally poking through, but overrun with weeds. And if you remember last year, the same thing happened, really overrun with weeds, choked them out. So I'm just going through and picking them out, try to thin it out, give them a chance. I think I've learned that I should be putting these carrots in rows and not just sprinkling in little patches. It makes it a lot more difficult to pick the weeds out. So I think next year that's going to be the plan, just smaller rows and nice straight lines with the seeds. Corn sprouting out. Again, I plant so many and I get so few, but looks like about the same or maybe a little more than last year. Don't know if they're close enough, but we'll see what happens with those. Green beans starting to climb, so I'm gonna have to put a structure up here soon so that they can climb up. Something's been through here and gnawed off a few of the plants, but this is what's left, and they seem to be doing all right. Lettuce is starting to poke out and look like lettuce leaves, so this is romaine, so we should have something soon enough. More cucumber plants than last year, and they're already doing better, so I expect cucumbers this year. Should be a pretty good batch considering how many plants there are. Let's head down on the bottom here. Pumpkin's really taking off. Nice big leaves, look like strong healthy plants. So I weeded all this last week, so they're doing really well. And sunflowers, nothing crazy going on here, but they're growing along. Not as nearly as many as I planted, but a couple there, nice to look at. Let's head down to the berries. Mr. Rhubarb, dead again. I'm not getting into that. Strawberries are done. I may just mow this over. I've got to look up and see if that's fine. Alright, so grapes. Look at these guys. So still small. They kind of made like a little stick flower thing, and those turned into these. So I think those are grapes. Kind of look like a grape stem. So it looks like we're gonna have grapes this year. A couple down here. I don't know how low they grow. Not seeing too much down low. Oh, this guy's way out here near me. All right, raspberries, finally. Got some raspberries here, but the ants are after them like crazy. So I think I'm gonna have to do something at the bottom, maybe with some tanglefoot. Try to keep those from climbing those. I've never seen or heard tell of ants eating raspberries, but it looks like it. Lots of little plants sprouting up here that have similar leaves, so I'm hoping that means more raspberry plants. But I know some of these weeds have similar leaves. They get tricky, like these guys. That looks very similar. Blueberries, the Costco blueberry bushes are just full of great big blueberries. Well, white berries right now. They're doing really well, so I want to get more of these. You can see the Home Hardware, wherever else, bushes not doing so well. This little guy has a decent amount. I think this is the third one I bought, and the first two not doing so well. And the scarecrow's back up. He fell down so many times, and I half-assed this little structure for it. Don't look at the work there. I just needed something to stand to keep the birds away from these berries, and I don't know if they eat them white or they wait till they're really ripe, but they haven't been in them yet, so we'll see if that works. Now on to the apple and peach trees. A little bit discouraging. I picked all the apples off of this tree. This is the mystery tree, except for this one that I just missed. Oh, two. All right, so these two. Because my other tree there with lots of apples, it looks like despite my best efforts of getting rid of these bot flies, cotling moth worms got in there in almost every apple. So I just decided to pick every apple off to not waste the energy of the tree this year in producing those apples, make the tree much stronger. So I've got a bucket here of all the apples. So sort of an abort. Didn't work out this year. I see a couple more apples there that I got to pick out, but looks like no apples this year. And while I was at it, I came over to the peach tree, and you can see some of these peaches are really getting big. You can find some of the big ones. So they're really coming along. They look really nice. I don't know what eats these, but as you can see, something's been burrowing into those. I guess stink bugs do, some other stuff. So I've been pulling off the really bad looking ones. I left a few like that one that already have a little borehole in it in case they want to go back and continue eating that one and not go after all the good fruit. But you can see in the bucket there's a couple of peaches in there too. So pretty discouraging, the fruit trees, but honestly I wasn't expecting much right off the bat. A couple of years in, I'm gonna have to learn more and maybe do more to keep the insects at bay. So we'll see, and in the end we'll find out if it's actually worth it. But a little discouraging. So yeah, that's the update for mid-July, and we'll take a look in another 2 weeks. Well, it's been another 2 weeks, so it's time for an update. I can't remember if I showed you this trellis last week, but I have the green beans starting to climb it. So I'm sort of training those to go all directions so that it should be easier to pick when the green beans grow. Potatoes doing well as usual. I'm coming through here twice a day picking off all the bugs, and I'm not seeing very many adults, but lots of young ones. Even twice a day I'm seeing them, so I'm not sure how they're getting back on the plants. Maybe I need to squish them after I put them on the ground, but they're definitely under control, and I'm happy with how these second generation potatoes are going. I spent a lot of time weeding the carrots here, and while I don't have a lot of quantity of carrots, they're still in there and they seem to be doing well despite all the extra weeds. So next year I'm definitely going to put more defined rows for carrots, and I'm going to make sure I keep that the weeds very thin. So I was just out around the cucumbers here, and still no vegetables yet, but I put this little mesh here so that they can sort of climb on there. So I was trying something a little bit different than the little bent pieces I put last year. Also, I saw that some people put these tomato rings, so I'm giving that a try for some of the plants that are kind of spaced out there, so that should help. So we can see the lettuce is doing all right. They're still quite small here, but there should be some that can pick soon, like this little guy. Weeds are sort of mixed up in there. I just pillowed a few here and there to try to keep them under control, but I'm not too worried about those. So last time I mentioned I picked all the apples out. I left the little red balls in there to catch any bugs. Peaches, even though I culled so many, I left a bunch here, and I stopped picking them now, even though some have holes where insects may have gotten in, just to leave them as decoys. So hopefully the insects will stay on those, and we'll have a few left at the end that we can eat. As you can see, they're about I don't know, 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inch, some of them. So I'm pretty happy with how big they've gotten so far. So much better than any other year. Sunflowers here, these guys about 3 feet tall, a couple little ones. The pumpkins are doing well. They started stretching out really far, and then I started curving them to try to keep them sort of in this rectangle. So I'm going to have some going this way, some coming this way, try to keep them a little bit contained so it's easier to mow. And they've started flowering, and here I think might be the first it's fertilized, and there might be another one right there. So I'm expecting bigger cucumbers than the past few years, just because I started a little bit earlier with them, and the soil is so much better. I kept the seeds moist. This guy, we're not even going to talk about him. So I actually mowed over all the strawberries about 2 weeks ago, just after I filmed, and I can see a couple of plants have started coming up again. So obviously I haven't killed them off. Just have a real problem with weeds here. I removed all the wood, opened it up so that I can mow a little bit more. I really don't know what to do, so if you have any suggestions on how I can get rid of the weeds yet keep the strawberries, welcome to hear it. So back to the grapes. This is again the first year we actually have grapes. These are about 4 to 5 year old trees. You can see here how big the grapes are. Still don't know if we're going to get to eat them, but I added this little section in the back to give it a little more strength, because it looks like it's starting to get heavy there with all those grapes. And looks like several are missing. So I don't know if that's because they didn't get fertilized or if an animal was here picking those off. I'm really not sure. Still happy to see them. Raspberries, we picked those recently. I've got a picture here of the little handful that we got. So happy to see a lot of new growth, a lot of little plants coming up there. So I did a big cleanup here. The weeds were taking over, so I think that's helping. Now blueberries, last week I put this cover on, tried to keep the birds off them. They're starting to turn blue. So you can see here, lots of blue ones. So those are looking ready to pick. So I'm actually gonna go get a cup right now and pick all the blue ones. I'll leave the white ones for now, just so we can have a little taste for now. And yeah, that's it. So this will be the last update for July. We got about another 4 or 5 days now until August, and then I'll do an update first week of August. So yeah, that's how things are going. All right, so it's been about 2 weeks since the last update, and I'm just out walking through the garden today, and it looks like it's paid off to be really persistent with the picking off of the potato bugs. I've been going through morning and night every day, before work and after work, picking all of them out. Anytime I walk through the garden, I also pick them, and for the past week there have been 0 bugs. Morning, night, every time I check, not a single one. So seems to have slowed down for a little bit, which is nice to see. Now, we do have a little issue here with our corn, which it's not crazy tall, but it's already sprouting on the top, which is a little odd. So I'm not sure what's going on there. It doesn't seem to have a lot of husks starting, but I did notice on one of them, here it is, all these little ants going up and down, and this is going to be difficult to see on camera, but it looks like black aphids on there. So the ants, I think, are going to be carrying those away and eating them, I'm hoping. But it's not looking good for that one corn there. I don't see any more on the other stalks, but that one there, it was a little concerning to me. But who knows, there's so many bugs in these damn gardens that you can't keep up. So here I have my green beans climbing up this little rack thing that I did with the string, and I've been training them every day and having them follow from left to right, from the center all the way up, and it's going up about maybe 6 feet now, so it's still climbing. That's starting to get little flowers on it, so we should have a pretty good haul of green beans this fall. Lettuce are not very big, but I did pick one just this week. I see one right there that's ready, another one that can probably be picked later this week, so we can start eating that stuff. The cucumbers are climbing up these little tomato rings that I put up there, getting nice and tall. I don't think too many of these are producing cucumbers yet, but this guy, the second one from the end, I've already picked 2 cucumbers from, and it's putting them out, so you can see them in there. So soon I'll be picking more cucumbers than I can handle. It's a little difficult to see with the sun here, but there's 2 big ones there, so that's going well. It's starting to climb this little structure I put with the mesh, so I'm sure there's even more cucumbers hiding under some of these plants because there's so many of them there. Just gonna zoom out a little bit. So yeah, these are really taking off. Really strong, healthy plants, which is nice. It's been a couple of years since I've had decent cucumbers. My first year was very good, but since then, not so good. It's super hot and humid today. Sun's just beating down, and it rained this morning, so it's like a sauna down here. So peaches, look at these guys. They're actually like beautiful, nice and big, and really this is almost the point where I would pick some and eat them. But as I keep saying, I imagine these are full of bugs and not edible, but we're gonna see what happens a little later when it's harvest time, if there's any that are worthwhile to eat. But just still cool that a little tree that I planted, I don't know how many years ago, but 5 years ago, is now that healthy and producing really nice looking fruit. Our sunflowers here are just hitting the 5-foot mark, and pumpkins are everywhere. Last count, I've got about 20 of them, and I noticed a little one just coming out there. So tons of pumpkins this year. Leaves are looking really yellow, so I'm not sure if that's because it's so hot and not getting enough water this year, but we had a big rain this weekend, so they should be doing all right now. The birds have been getting at this pumpkin, but I just left it there for them so that they don't pick at the rest. But as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice big one here that looks like somebody's been picking at that one too. So plenty of pumpkins. So, and a lot earlier than usual. So I'm expecting them to be quite nice and big by the time Halloween comes around, if the birds can just stay out of them. Well, let's head down to the grapes. So they're still quite small, but they're starting to look more like store-bought grapes. I picked one last week and tasted like a grape, but very sour, really bitter. So I think they got some growing to do before they start to get sweet. But look at that. It's a good size. And blueberries, we picked twice already. We got a nice little container the last time, and I can see about half of what's left have turned. So I'll probably pick those late this weekend, maybe tomorrow. And we'll head right back up here. The only thing I didn't look at was the carrots. Now I spent some time weeding these a little bit in the mornings. You can see this one is not entirely choked out by weeds, but the weeds are getting quite heavy again, so I'm gonna have to go through there and pick out a bit. Here it looks like the carrots are actually overpowering the weeds, so these guys I expect to be good and strong and healthy. Got some thin ones here where there was more weeds than carrots that sprouted, but happy to have a little bit compared to last year where I had almost nothing. So yeah, that's the status of our garden right now. I'm hoping everything keeps growing the way it is and these pests can stay away. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Well, it's only been a week now, and I wasn't planning on doing an update today, but I was just out walking and watering things, and I came up to the new tree, which is I think the Cortlands, and I noticed these guys in there. Just massive caterpillars munching away, eating all the leaves, and they're only on this one tree, and this is one of the trees that did have apples, but the Honeycrisp had apples too. So I'm not sure why they're not eating that tree, just this one. And I don't know what kind of caterpillars they are. I'll get nice and close. So you can see here they're striped with yellow feet. So I'll look those up later. But for now I'm just going to pick those off and get rid of them. Not happy about that. Well, I think I got all of them. Well, it's been another 2 weeks and I'm just out here after supper and I'm going to do some watering. Zoom out here. And it's been very dry this week and I've neglected the garden quite a bit. So 2 weeks in a row that I haven't done much watering. And unfortunately you can see in the leaves way down there's a lot of yellow. Some of the plants are not doing so good, but let's take a quick walk around. So green beans I picked maybe twice in the past week. And I got a whole bunch. I jarred 12 jars just today. And potatoes, surprisingly I have not seen potato bugs in at least 2 weeks. Not a single one, which is great. Carrots here, these guys are looking nice and tall. One's on this side, the other side, they're not looking so great, but fairly healthy, but not as good as these ones. Corn, I don't know what's going on with corn. We're just now starting to see some of the cobs growing. All the little pollen thingies have fallen off a long time ago. All those aphids that we had on here, the ants have taken those away, so those are gone. But I don't know what kind of surprises might be inside of those corn cobs, because sometimes we find bugs in them. So who knows, but they are getting bigger. So we'll see how that grows. There's a lot more now than there were a week ago. It looked like there was going to be no corn at all. So I've left this green bean plant as is. I think it's still going to produce some more beans for the next little while. I still see some more flowers on there, so that'll be a couple more meals. Now cucumbers have started taking off, and as you can see the leaves are not looking good because of lack of water, but lots of flowers, and we can see inside of there several cucumbers. I picked so many in the past week and a half. Been eating them every day, giving them away. These guys here haven't been producing too much, but I guess after some water with all the flowers that are on there, the bees have been busy. I'm expecting quite a bit. Lettuce is getting overrun by all these weeds. I picked a few today for some salads for this week. They didn't get very big, and I got this one random green lettuce in there. Must have been an extra seed that landed in there, but I've sort of kind of let this one go. I don't imagine I'll be eating too much more lettuce out of here. Let's go take a look at those peaches. It's really obvious from far how big they've gotten. Oh, and we can see here a lot of them are being eaten by something. Just gonna zoom in a little so we can see here. Something's definitely eating that one, and that one's not looking round at all. There's a big hole in that one, and that one is definitely being eaten by something. So there's a lot of them that aren't looking good. I don't know if it means it's time to pick them, and maybe they're ripening. Oh yeah, they're very, very soft, so definitely time to pick those and see if there's anything worth eating. So I'm gonna have to come back here a little later and see if there's anything good. It's not looking very hopeful though. Here we've got our sunflowers, nice and tall, still not open, but looking at that guy up there, it's probably not going to be very long. I noticed some of the neighbors have opened already. Now the birds have been picking at all these pumpkins, so I'm not sure how long they're going to last. But I've got several that have started turning. Lots of yellow there. They're not very big, and oh my god, those plants are really not looking good. This past week with the heat and my neglect isn't really helping. You can see the strawberry plants are still doing well here. Now grapes, I've been leaving these go, hoping they would get bigger, but we can see there's some that are starting to turn brown, so I don't know if that's because of lack of water or because they're ripe, but I'm gonna try one out. You know what, that's not bad. I'm gonna Try another one here. Got this guy. Those are pretty good. I'd say those are ready to pick. So I'm going to pick all those. So I'm slowly learning when to harvest some of this stuff. So peaches, grapes seem to be around the same time. Have a look at all the raspberry plants here. Raspberry plants have been struggling for years now. But this year, there's so many new plants coming up that I hope will come back next year. Blueberries are all done. Looks like one plant sort of died. It's a bit of a mess here. Got to do some cleaning up. All right, well, I think that is it for this week's update. I'm going to pick some peaches, pick some grapes, water this, and we'll see what it looks like in the next few weeks. All right, so I brought a bucket out to put the bad ones in, and a little bin to put the good ones in, if there's any. Look at that. That's a beautiful looking peach. So one of those peaches seems to be a bit of a wasp nest, so staying away from that one and trying not to shake up the tree too much. Well, it looks like the wasps have claimed the rest of those. Just gonna zoom in a bit here. See them coming in and out of that one. And I think this one here. So several wasps going around, even that one in the back. So I'm not gonna mess with any of these because I'm not in the mood to get stung tonight. And if we head over here, take a look at my bucket. This is what I've picked out. So let me fix the zoom here, try to focus. Sun's going down, so it's not able to focus. If I lift this up, probably looking at about I don't know, maybe 10 pounds. And if we look at the good, quote-unquote good ones, we've got all these. So I'm going to soak those in water in case there's any bugs inside. And we're probably going to have to cut them open before we eat them. That's providing they're actually ripe. But yeah, that's a lot more nice ones than I expected. When I was going through every week and looking at these, I saw how many bugs and worms and things were around. I didn't expect any of them to be good. So we'll see if there's anything good inside. These I'm going to have to throw away. I'm probably going to put them in the garage tonight and throw them in a garbage bag that I'm going to tie up. And it sounds like there's something out there in the woods, so I think I'm going to call it a night and head in. Well, it's now the second week of September, and I've honestly neglected this garden quite a bit. This is actually the first night in over a week that I'm home before the sun goes down, and it's on its way down now. We've been so busy at work. I've been working late, really neglecting the garden here. We haven't seen much rain either. I watered it one night early last week. I think we had one day of rain, so it's not looking too good this week. I can see a potato peeking out there, so that one I should cover up before it's no good. It's already turning green, so I'm gonna leave it. But we can see here the potatoes are starting to die off, so it's gonna be time to pick those soon. Gonna see if maybe my niece and nephew want to come over and help with that. Green beans are all picked, they're done. The last few batches I brought to work, and the guys at work took care of them. And let's take a minute to look at how tall those are. Those green beans are to the top of that structure, which I would say is 9 feet tall. So that really got up there. And with all the wrapping and everything, that's one long vine. So the corn's not looking fantastic. I see some cobs in there, but I don't know if anything's going to be big enough to eat. Maybe that one right there. There may be a couple. We'll see. See if there's anything edible this year. Looks like something's been at one of those. So yeah, this is I'd say potatoes and corn are done. Carrots are still looking fantastic. Look at how nice and green those are. I can't wait to pick those. I expect they'll be pretty decent. Oh, let's head down the hill here. I'm just going to take a quick walk and look at the trees to be sure there's no caterpillars or worms or anything eating all of these leaves. This is the tree that the other day was covered in caterpillars, and we can see there's still quite a bit of leaves there, so I think I got the entire infestation when I picked them off the other day, so that's gonna have a chance. So I picked all the grapes recently. So grapes and raspberries are done for the year. Those leaves are still hanging on, but it won't be long before they start to fall. Our pumpkins look like all the leaves are dead, and the birds have really been at these. So we can see lots of pick marks in them. They've been picked at and eaten, but we're gonna set them up in our little fall displays regardless, if we can find an end that's that looks the best. Still lots of bright orange down here, so let's give it a little count. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 pumpkins. That's not bad for this year. They're not big, but at least there's more than the last few years. Our sunflowers have finally opened up. Look at this big guy here. So it won't be long before the birds are into there too. So looks like we've got 2 that are open. We've got a third that's going to be open anytime now. So they're nice and tall and healthy looking. A couple little guys there. Our peaches, I had picked all of those except for the ones that had become wasp nests, and I'm not seeing anything left in the tree, so they must have all fallen down and gotten eaten or something. You can see just the remainder of one there, so I guess they just shriveled away or rotted away or something. So I guess I didn't have to pick those after all. Here we've got an apple tree, and would you look at that? One little apple. So that's a Macintosh. So one apple, and it looks like there's likely a worm or something in there because there's a hole. And I might pick it and cut it up and see what's inside. It could be that something just sort of thought about burrowing in there. So I'm gonna pick that, bring it in. I'll cut that piece off. We'll see if there's anything edible. Fun just to get a taste of what I've grown sometimes. But that looks like it's it for that one. I thought I saw an apple in the Honeycrisp tree earlier this year. So I'm just gonna take a look around here, see if there's any, but it doesn't look like it. And the little tree had nothing, so yeah, just one apple that seems to have survived. All right, let's go to the third row here. All right, so the cucumbers really look like they're dying off, so I think I'm gonna pick the rest tonight. You can see little guy there. The plants are not doing good despite the flowers that are still remaining. I hurt my foot this week, so I'm kind of limping around, so I apologize for the shaky video. So no cucumbers there. Oh, here's one buried. And if I look in here, there should be some. So yeah, I've got one there. Yeah, so a couple of cucumbers left. I imagine there's some in there. Oh, yep, I can see one over there. Oh, and one there. So there's a good 4, I think, 5. Should be more around here too. 6 with the one that's hanging over there. 7, one right here. Let's see, 8. There's one there. So 8 cucumbers. So I'm gonna go get something to put those in. Shopping bag. I'm gonna pick all the cucumbers. I'm gonna bring them to work and share them with the people at work. So that's just about gonna be it until I start picking. So we'll see. Hopefully by next weekend, if my schedule is not so bad, I'm gonna start picking that stuff. Start getting some of those potatoes and carrots out and see what they look like. All right, so it's now third week of September, so we're getting pretty late in the year. I'm just out here picking some stuff out of the garden. I'm hoping today to get my carrots out, hopefully potatoes, we'll see, and start cleaning stuff up, get it ready for another till and some manure and different things to prepare for next year. And I was actually walking down here looking at the carrots, and I got to the carrot patch, and what the happened here? There's a strip here about 2 feet by 4 feet that's completely cleared out, and it's like a perfect square. So something's been in here pulling carrots out, and also this area here, and you can see one carrot there. I pulled that one out just to see how long they were, but this whole area here was all picked, and then this is the section where they were the densest and the biggest. So all my beautiful carrots gone. Like, what could have picked these and eaten all the greens? So here I have a little bit of evidence here. It's some weeds, but really all the weeds are gone too. So I have no idea what came through here. Maybe deer. It's been a while since I've seen deer around here, but who knows what goes on in the evening. So yeah, I'm gonna pick what's left before they come back and eat the rest of them. But that's the plan today. Pick these carrots. We'll see about potatoes if I have time. I went through the corn a little earlier today and it didn't look fantastic, but I might go through that and see if there's anything edible in there. I picked the last of the cucumbers, so these plants are pretty much done. So I'm gonna cut out all the metal stuff and put that aside for next year and get that ready to till. Same with this great big frame that I have for the green beans. Cut all that out and remove it. So we'll see how much I can get done today. I've been super busy with work, but I'm gonna try to get as much as I can done. We also picked all the pumpkins down here. I think we had 13 or 14 of them. One at the end there was a little rotten, and then this guy here, the birds have been eating, and I ran over one with the lawnmower. So they're pretty much done. Also got all the sunflowers opened up, so they're looking real nice. Much bigger than I expected them to be. I didn't think I planted giant ones this year, but I guess so. So I'm going to take those flowers down and maybe save some of the seeds for next year to plant my own seeds, and the rest I'm going to give to the birds. So yeah, let's start some picking. I start by picking what is left of the carrots. Then pick a few ears of corn. Then dig up all the potatoes. Now I cut down all the green bean stalks. And cut away all the cucumber vines and remove the supports. Then with the tractor I moved the bean support out of the way. And give everything a final till before winter. It's also time to retire my ugly scarecrow, so I decided to have my own little Burning Man festival in my backyard as a farewell. Here's a look at everything that came out of the garden this year. Well, that's going to be it for this video. As always, if you have any comments or suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next year.